It had all started with a seemingly ordinary day. Dawn had been busy with her usual routine, getting Lucas ready for school, managing her responsibilities, and trying to keep a semblance of normalcy. But life in Emmerdale was rarely simple, and fate had a way of throwing unexpected challenges her way. The first sign that things were about to go horribly wrong came with a phone call. It was Billy Fletcher, his voice tense and hurried, asking her to meet him immediately. Dawn's heart had skipped a beat. She knew Billy wouldn't call her like this unless it was something serious. She hurried to the agreed meeting place, her mind racing with possibilities. When she arrived, she saw the worry etched on Billy's face. He explained that Meena Jutla, the village's notorious troublemaker, had resurfaced. Meena had been a thorn in everyone's side for months, her actions leaving a trail of devastation. Billy believed she was plotting something dangerous, and he needed Dawn's help to gather evidence. Dawn's initial reaction was one of determination. She had dealt with Meena before and was ready to do so again. Little did she know that this decision would set off a chain of events that would haunt her. As they delved deeper into Meena's latest scheme, Dawn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. She tried to convince herself it was just paranoia, but the nagging doubt remained. They managed to gather some damning evidence, enough to go to the police. But before they could, Meena confronted them. In the ensuing confrontation, things escalated quickly. Meena, always a step ahead, had anticipated their move. There was a struggle, and in the chaos, someone got hurt, badly. Dawn could still hear the sound of Billy's anguished cry as he cradled his injured friend, the blood seeping through his fingers. That night, as Dawn sat by Billy's hospital bed, the weight of what had happened began to sink in. She replayed every decision, every action, wondering where she had gone wrong. Maybe if she had noticed the signs earlier, been more cautious, things would have turned out differently. The guilt gnawed at her, growing stronger with each passing hour. Word spread quickly through Emmerdale, as it always did. Dawn found herself the subject of whispers and pointed fingers. Some villagers offered sympathy, but others blamed her for what had happened. Even those who didn't say it out loud, she could see the accusation in their eyes. It was too much to bear. Dawn started to withdraw, unable to face the judgment and her own overwhelming guilt. She avoided Billy, unable to look him in the eye, fearing he blamed her too. Her sleep became plagued with nightmares and she could barely eat. Lucas, sensing his mother's distress, grew anxious and clingy, which only added to Dawn's sense of failure. One evening, as she sat alone in the darkened living room, Dawn's father, Will, walked in. He'd been worried about her, watching her spiral downwards but unsure how to help. Will was a man of few words, but his presence was comforting. He sat beside her, waiting for her to speak. "I can't stop thinking about it," Dawn finally whispered, her voice breaking. "If I had just done something differently, maybe this wouldn't have happened." Will sighed, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Dawn, you can't carry all this blame on your own. We all knew what Meena was capable of, and we all made choices. You did what you thought was right." "But it wasn't enough," Dawn cried. "I should have seen it coming. I should have protected everyone." Will shook his head. "You can't predict everything. None of us can. What's important now is how we move forward. Beating yourself up won't change what happened." Dawn knew he was right, but the path to forgiveness, both of herself and from others, seemed impossibly long. She had to find a way to make amends, to atone for her perceived failures. It started with small steps, talking to Billy, helping him through his recovery, and facing the villagers with her head held high, despite the whispers. In the weeks that followed, Dawn threw herself into supporting those affected by Meena's actions. She organized fundraisers, helped with community projects, and was there for her friends and family in ways she hadn't been able to before. Slowly, the village began to see her not as the woman who had failed, but as someone who was trying to make things right. The road to healing was long and fraught with setbacks, but Dawn was determined. She learned to forgive herself, to understand that she couldn't control everything. And in doing so, she found a new strength within herself, a resilience that would carry her through whatever challenges lay ahead in the ever-turbulent village of Emmerdale.